Nell to put it in the notes if you'd like to copy it.
Oh, I'm going to share it to the screen is what I'm
Yes,
going to do.
share it to the
Is that what you
screen,
want me to do?
whatever you want to do.
Okay, that's what I'm doing. Ding.
So this is an adaptation. You're not going to find this anywhere. It's a collection of different spots. We must learn to awaken and to keep ourselves awake by an infinite expectation of the dawn, which does not forsake us in our soundest sleep. Why should we live in such a hurry and waste of life? We are determined to be starved before we are hungry. I wish to learn what life has to teach, and not when I come to die to discover that I have not lived. I do not wish to live what is not life, for living is so dear. Nor do I wish to practice resignation, unless it's necessary. For we are encouraged that we can elevate our lives by our conscious endeavors. It is something to be able to paint a picture or to carve a statue and so make a few objects beautiful. But it is far more glorious to carve and paint the very atmosphere and medium through which we look, which spiritually we can do. To affect the quality of the day, that is the highest of the arts. It is our task to make our life, even in its details, worthy of the contemplation of our worthiest hours. Today, we're going to touch on a couple of things in this. I wish to learn what life has to teach. I do not want to practice resignation unless it's necessary. To affect the quality of the day, that's the highest of the arts. So, if you want to take all that down so I can see my peeps.
Okay.
Thank you. Get back, there they are. So, who did we have come in?
We had
Who's on the
Beth.
iPhone
There's
4?
Beth. Hi, Beth.
Hey, Beth.
Hello. My brother Carl may be joining us. I don't know what he'll chime in. Thank you.
Okay,
Great. Thanks.
So today I wanted to talk about the third part of the origins of suffering. So the Buddhists in the Great Wheel of Deluded Existence, which I'll try and get up on the screen next week, has resistance in the form of a snake, which we've talked about. Automatic response of the nervous system is to have a pushback, an aversion to anything that's unpleasant that comes in at the sensory level. You have to realize that's why we're learning to meditate and go deeper than simply the sensations of the body, but go to the interface where those sensations begin translating into thoughts and emotions. And before they become that, they become something that happens in that part of the body, the energetic body that the Buddha called Vedana. Vedana is this very early arousal of the constrictions that I talk about. So you can hear the constriction of the aversion. I'm not liking what's happening. Then there is my grasping after things that I desire. And again, grasping is a constriction. I want this to be happening, and it's not happening. And this is going on continually below the level of our awareness. And we begin to think that freedom is a matter of choosing. I'm sitting here in this moment. I don't like what's happening. My free will wants to choose a place where I'm not dealing with this unpleasantness. My free will wants to choose a place where I am more comfortable than the place where I am here. And what Buddhism says is this is actually not freedom, but a mechanism of the ego trying to escape reality. Okay? Choice is a way of escape, not a way of entering reality more fully. So the monkey mind is in this constant search for something better than what's happening right now, telling us that we can choose a better life or be more comfortable than we are now. And that's the trap that it gets us in, that constant search for something better. After a while, the ego begins to attach to this and uses it as a defense. And we begin to live in anticipation of things that aren't real. The reality is I'm uncomfortable. The reality is that I'm having something pleasurable happening. Anything that we add on to that is an illusion. And trying to keep our seats, this is what Pema Chodron means by keeping your seat. She means don't leave the present moment. Experience my wanting to grasp, experience my wanting to push back, experiencing my mind making all these judgments about what's right, what's wrong, what should be happening, what shouldn't be happening. Once we begin to let go of that illusion that we actually choose a better reality in this moment, we start landing in what's really real. Okay? Choicelessness, this is called choicelessness, reveals reality, reveals sacred reality. So we've done a lot of talk about awe. What's keeping us from seeing the awe is that we're at war with the moment we're passing through right now. And we're stuck either in the future or we're stuck in the past, but we're not right here. Now, let me tie this in the program. A lot of us are in 12-step programs of one kind or another. One of the things that we use is the serenity prayer. And the serenity prayer says, may I accept the things I cannot change. Give me the courage to change the things I can. Well, what we discover when we pursue that is that 98% of your day is out of your control. You are totally powerless over it. Begin to think about what that means. And this goes back to the teachings of Western theologian Paul Tillich. He calls that God's will. God's will is another name for all the things I'm powerless over, not in the sense that there's anybody out there controlling it, trying to make things happen for or against me. What it means is that you are powerless. You literally cannot control what you're looking at. So I cannot control other people, period. What they think, what they feel, what they do. I do not have that power. When I realize that, that becomes an act of choicelessness. I am now not going to try to choose what I'm going to do to try and get you to do something. Any thought like that is literally crazy because I don't have that power. I'm powerless over the circumstances of my life out here. I'm powerless over my initial emotional response to situations. I'm powerless over my initial thought. And you go down that list and you begin to see that choicelessness is a very realistic way of focusing and beginning to get your hands off stuff that you can't control, and that begins to ease your suffering. That's where the wisdom to know the difference comes, and you begin to land in serenity. So, when we begin to get into thinking that I can choose a different reality, we drop out of the trance and we begin to get grounded in the present moment reality. And that's where our true power is. My true power is in this moment to change my relationship to what's going on out there. So he says to affect the quality of the day, the choice is not an outward choice. How am I going to control what's going on inside? It's how do I change my relationship, my grasping, my resistance to this. So instead, what we're encouraged in meditation to do is to learn the art of tolerating discomfort, tolerating unpleasantness. Like we said, the grasping, the wanting something, the not eating what I want to eat, all those things are broadening our window of tolerance for that discomfort. So as we sit today, we want to see how that feels as it emerges, how it feels as the initial triggering of the monkey mind, looking for an escape from this moment. The minute you're trying to choose, you're trying to escape from what is. Can you see that? And to begin to make a different choice, which is to stay in this present moment reality and realize that it's in the present moment reality that you're going to find the peace, that you're going to find freedom, that you're going to find meaning, not in a reality that my mind is generating or trying to fabricate. So we'll come back and we'll talk about this approach a little bit later, but for our meditation now, just begin, as we said, tuning into the body, tuning into the level of physical sensation, and then begin to watch the discomfort emerge, begin to see that desire to escape the present moment, either to grasp for something more pleasant or to avoid the unpleasantness of this moment. Also keep an eye on that monkey mind. The minute it starts going should, shouldn't, this is the judgmental mind. When we talk about the judgmental mind, it is not helping you. It is the devil pulling you out of the sacred reality of the present moment into the past and future, which don't exist, which is the other point to make. The future is a place in your brain. The past is a place in your brain. There's nowhere in reality except in your brain that those two states exist. So keeping ourselves anchoring here is anchoring us in our strength, anchoring us in reality, which is where the sacred is. Nowhere better, more sacred, nothing to create. Land in this moment and open, soften, open, soften. Just notice where you are. Did you leave your body, leave your breath? Did you leave the present? No recriminations, just gently bring yourself back. Feeling the sensations in the body. With a gentle awareness. Noting the arising of any resistance to sensation, any attachment. Watch the monkey mind like an overly zealous assistant who's constantly coming up with a better idea. And just allow that voice to flow through, not resisting it, not getting caught in that cycle. Simply letting it pass of its own impermanence. Coming gently into the present moment. Just note where you were. Each time the gong sounds, bring yourself back without recrimination. If your energy's flagging, up your level of curiosity. If your mind is overactive, slow your breath, the exhale. Reconnect with the bodily sensations. Returning again and again to the present.
Welcome, Sherry and Carl, Bentley,
Yep, and
Dr. Cat.
take a look at what Bentley's screen says acceptance is always freedom, no matter what you're accepting. That is choicelessness. I mean, couldn't have picked a better thing to remind us of. So, questions, comments? This should be fraught with questions. Because we're a culture that values freedom and constantly looking for it and being promised it, and yet we don't understand the nature of freedom, so it's often a vain quest. So what about this idea that choicelessness is the path to freedom? What does that mean? Especially in light of Thoreau's thing, I do not wish to practice resignation unless it's necessary. Is it resignation? What's the relationship between acceptance, resignation, freedom? See, this
We're
is the
thinking about
oh, I know.
Yeah,
See,
we're
this,
overthinking
now,
it.
good. Now
Yeah.
yeah, I'm glad it's in y'all's head instead of mine. This kind of stuff I
Go,
shouldn't.
Ajna.
Yeah, I heard something interesting. This woman was being challenged about her atheism. But one thing that she said that I found interesting, she said, people don't realize when you say independent, it's the negative or the freedom from dependency.
Right.
And that really, of course, she said it about atheism too. When you're, you know, not a theist, you're an atheist, and the words itself say that.
And I think for many of us, freedom has those connotations of being controlled by someone else, that it's getting away from being controlled and free to make my own choices. And that's a very adolescent sense of freedom. We need to move past that, because we can be free from other people controlling us and still be controlled by all the things that have been programmed into us. So we think we're making choices, but we're really still rehearsing the value systems that were ingrained in us and that we inherited from society, even in the search for freedom, that we inherited that. And then there gets into Janis Joplin's freedom is just another word for nothing left to lose. Nothing ain't worth nothing, but it's free. That's not freedom either. That's more in the level of resignation or hopelessness. And so what we're promised in these non-dualistic meditation systems is that the freedom is really freedom to land in this moment, and that in this moment, this present moment, and only in this present moment, are we going to find the things that are ultimately fulfilling. So we've been talking about awe. What's the relationship between awe and freedom? Well, as long as I'm at war with this present moment, I'm certainly not free to experience the present moment,
To experience all.
to experience all. So what I'm really freeing myself from is the illusion, from the trance, the ignorance of what is. And that's why these traditions point us back. First I see, then I act. Well, what am I seeing? What I'm seeing is how unfree I am. So I free myself from all these things that are tugging and pulling at me, land in the present moment. So that's one way of looking at this journey, to trying to pull together things for you that we've talked about, and how does it all work? How does it all come together? Any questions, comments?
I'm gonna share that I I did something that at least I don't think I usually do this. I have a hard time staying in the present moment, of course. And then I was thinking about, what is the present moment? I mean, if I'm thinking about something that happened 20 years ago, that's still the present moment because I'm in the present. I was just thinking about, just debating myself. And then I was looking at this plant in the room that I'm meditating in, and the light, the sun was coming in the window at kind of a, I don't know, cool angle on the plant. And when I looked over at the plant a couple of minutes later, the sun was a little bit different on the plant. And I was like, oh, I'm kind of watching, I'm watching the earth rotate. And so I watched that. I watched that palm frond that was originally completely in the sunlight, watched it gradually enter the shade. So that was cool.
Very cool. Do you have something, Matthew?
It seems that I make the most, I'm gonna say some stuff that's like you say, Bart, I'm gonna speak this stuff recklessly. So it seems
Recklessly.
it seems that I do the most work in spiritual progress and have the most growth in spiritual progress when I'm about to lose my mind. Like when the judgment becomes so acute, and when the greed becomes so acute, and when the aversion becomes so acute, that I'm really just about that I really just can't take it anymore. Then I'm pushed to dive into uh some readings, and I'm really chewing on this stuff more time during the day. And then there's a lot of there's a lot of help in it. And so that's really, funny that it has to get that bad before, because really there's part of me that doesn't want to practice this stuff. Part of me just wants to run away and escape and spiritual bypass through greed of getting out of the not tolerating the discomfort of whatever circumstance I'm in. So it really takes some suffering to push me into, um, you know, some getting some help for myself. The other thing that I wanted to say was this concept of spiritual bypassing. It's been encouraging to think of the present moment as spiritual bypassing, which is actually not spiritual bypassing. But my brain is so addicted to, the cheating of getting out of the present, that it kind of has been encouraging. So it's been kind of a funny sort of encouraging thing to be like, oh, I can just spiritually bypass this whole shit show that my mind and body and nervous system and brain is, like, I can spiritually bypass the past and the future by coming into the present moment. And I feel like I'm cheating. And I'm like, oh, this is not cheat. It's just a fun way for me to be encouraged to spiritually bypass the suffering that my mind creates by coming back to the present. I don't know, dude. I wish I had more questions for you. I'm always like, why don't I have any questions? I don't understand anything. I don't understand.
Okay, you're fixed.
We're all in the same boat. Thank you, Matthew.
Okay.
Matthew, I just love you so much. God, I just adore you. Oh, God.
Is that Marilyn with you? Dorothy? Dorothy, who is that with you? Is that Marilyn? Hey, how are you?
Okay.
So let's you and Tiffany have both touched on something. If I'm in the future, isn't the future in the present moment? Okay. Now, all you have to do is ask yourself, where is your foot when you're in the future? And what you begin to see is the future is not in the present moment. The future is a place in your head that's disconnected from the present moment. So you can't maintain awareness of the sensations of your body be in the future because the monkey mind doesn't work like that. And that's one of the reasons that coming back to the present moment disengages us from the past and the future, is because they're different parts of the brain, all right? So the reason is not that I'm escaping these things, because there's not a future that's going on simultaneously and a past going on simultaneously while I'm in the present moment, that I'm escaping from the past and the future. That makes no sense neurologically, okay? That our mind can generate that thought, but what's the reality behind it? It's not there. So we have to recognize and use what neuroscience is handing to us, that says these are simply illusions. These are false evidence appearing real. So yes, I can use the future and the past to escape the present, but the present is not escaping the future and the past. Now you're going to say to me, okay, what about if I'm having a PTSD flashback in the present? Yes, I'm having those symptoms in the present, but dealing with the present and dealing with them at the level of sensation is a whole lot easier. And what we're finding is that sitting and talking about it, going back to the past, doesn't actually heal the sensations that are happening in the present moment. What heals the sensations in the present moment is to soften and let that energy pass, let it get out of the body, because it is in the body in the present moment. So PTSD is not about what happened to me in the past, it's about what happened to my body in the past. Rehearsing the events doesn't help. Undoing the blockages in my body helps. So if it's not, how can you deal with something that isn't happening? It only happens in the present, people. And you'll begin to see this more and more clearly. And you begin to feel that disconnect when you go into the past or the future, and realize that it really is a trance state. And that once you get caught up in it, it's like being caught up in a nightmare. You're generating a reality, it's generating feelings. I'm taking them seriously. It feels like it's happening in the present moment, but it's not being generated by sensations out here. It's being generated in the brain. And reality actually becomes my refuge. So when we say, take refuge in the breath, take refuge in the present, what it means is it disconnects from all the nightmares that the brain can generate. Okay? And we have a saying in recovery, which is, don't ever go, your mind is like a bad neighborhood. Don't ever go into it alone. You need backup. You shouldn't try and confront that shit show on your own. It really takes skill to navigate that terrain. So other questions?
Well, I think we get caught up in words. I mean, I can get caught up in presently, my mind is in the future.
Right.
At
That's what
this
I'm saying.
moment, yeah, that's
Or my
where we
mind
get
is in the
caught up.
present.
Yeah.
Dor- Dorothy is waiting.
Okay,
Oh, good, go good.
Oh, that's so sweet. Who said that?
Tommy,
Tom.
Okay.
he's
Oh,
checking you out.
I just saw this really funny painting. And in the past, I had like a spike collar on with great big chains,
Mhm.
and I was being pulled down into the earth. And in the future, I was pulled off the earth, so I was like up in the air. And then in the middle, I was just there without a collar. But
Right.
it was a great big silver spike collar, and it had black on it, and the chain was just pulling me down. I was totally stuck in the past. I could not lift up. That collar was so heavy. And I saw it all. So, I mean, it's just a visual. Did you hear me? Oh,
Yes.
okay. Okay. Well, I just had to give you that poetic imagery for the past and the future. And I was standing in the middle,
Mhm.
you know, not stuck in either one. That's the present moment.
Yay.
Mhm. So that leads into a kind of thing that is,
Future is like being.
I can't believe I'm not getting more resistance on this than I am. We're a culture that thinks that freedom is choice. We're a culture that makes so many choices every day that the choice part of our brain is fatigued and exhausted, which is part of what creaits our brain fog. And yet here I am encouraging you to give up choosing, and nobody's fighting with me. And
Yeah.
I'm finding it hard to believe that. And the other part of it is that we're a culture that encourages us to understand, to create a narrative about ourselves that somehow getting the story straight is what the truth is. And I'm encouraging you all to let go of the story and say, no matter how good your story gets, it's not going to have any relationship to reality. And you're going to say, how can that be? And I'm going to say, because this present moment has never been. So any narrative that you generated is totally irrelevant to right now. So,
Where'd Bentley
why aren't
go?
you
Bentley.
Go,
Yeah,
Bentley.
So I want to know, how can it be considered freedom when it's so overwhelming? Like overwhelming in my body, like when the choices are just so, yeah, how is that freedom, Bart?
Okay, there's the illusion, giving up the illusion that you have a choice. All right. Now, when I come into what's happening in my body, that's real. Okay. So when I begin to sit with that and I begin to release those energies, I'm actually affecting change. But if I'm running away from that, and the problem is the energies that I'm holding, but I'm running away from the energies that I'm holding, trying to fix the outside world so my inside feels differently, that's insanity. Okay? So yes, often where I am is in discomfort, but I went through that sitting here. Okay, I'm sitting, and the pain in my legs is becoming excruciating. That's my body telling me something. Okay, so now my ego, which wants to sit and look good, is at war with what my body is telling me, which is this is extremely painful. Who am I going to listen to? Where is freedom going to come from? Well, freedom to be in the present moment is going to come from listening to that discomfort in the present moment and acting on that instead of what I think should be happening or what would be good or what would be proper.
Look good.
And that's what we don't do. Hansa.
Well, I'd actually put my hand back down, but this whole topic is for me, is when we're in this spiritual growth and this like freedomless freedom that we exist within is really, again, Bart, you keep bringing up how the mind and the body, but our body is storing the sensations of undigested experiences, is how one of the ways I want to say it.
Yep.
And so when I'm in undigested experience and it starts coming to the surface, that is happening in the now.
Yes.
And so when Matthew was talking about spiritual bypassing is when I ignore that or when I justify it in my head. And I think when we have to heal, we heal everything in two levels. First of all, in our mind. And then when our mind makes peace with it, then we have to release the cellular memory, which heals the heart.
Yes.
And it's not until we go through it. So this whole idea of what is freedom, I don't know, because it varies and people's perception. My sister and I were both involved in a similar situation, and I thought it was a fun situation, and she was terrified. And we have to realize that everything that happens moment to moment, our personal experience is real for us.
Mm.
And the acceptance of that is, wow, that terrified me. It's all it takes. We don't have to make a big issue of it. But like you were saying, Bart, in our society, we live on creating drama. We think that the drama gives us a value. And I think in the non-dualistic, it's realizing that everything is just a moment. And we don't have to make a drama out of it. We don't have to define our life by it. We don't have to, and that's really how we avoid, to me, spiritual bypassing is it's noticing moment to moment and what is the freedom of making that choice? What I often look at when my mind goes off on side steps is what's keeping me from being present.
Right.
What about being in this moment am I avoiding, or am I avoiding it? Is my mind just completing a task? And that's my mind, it's not me. That's what I have to always distinguish is my mind is doing something because it doesn't know how to accept stillness. Its job is to make sure I'm okay here. Its job is to fix something. And I don't have to attach to that.
Very well said. And what I was trying to say, exactly. And there's a part of this choicelessness in Tibetan Buddhist practice is to always obey the body, what the body is doing. So we trust the wrong thing. We trust our mind instead of trusting our bodily sensations. And so if you look at what both Hans and I said, when we're having this drama in our head, we're trying to choose the right reality. We're trying to make decisions, which is the same thing as choice, about what to do. Coming back to basing those decisions on what's happening in the sensational level in your body eventually is what's going to lead to the feeling of freedom. It's not going to be an immediate sense of relief, okay? But that's what's real. That's what's happening right now. That's the closest to where the sacred energies meet your body, it get translated into something you can relate to. And she said it beautifully. What's blocking that is in your body, the energies, the stored energies at a cellular level. That's what we need to release, but that's not going to be comfortable, okay? If you close your fists like this for 6 months, you're going to have frozen joints, your circulation is going to be horrible, your nerve tone is going to be horrible, joints frozen. You try to open your hands, it's not going to feel good, people. So spiritual bypassing is when I don't want to deal with this. Well, then I'm stuck with this forever, okay? But when I finally begin to do my exercises, begin to go voluntarily through what it takes to open, soften, that's what we're doing. But it's not pleasant. So the idea of freedom, that freedom is going to immediately translate into this expansive, awesome experience, is not true. It doesn't immediately translate, but I will never get to those states of awe as often as I could if I continue to be in this state. That's more a way of looking at it. It's like yoga. Yes, I can still get around, I can still do things, but I'm still going to feel confined in my body. Like there's places that are just stuck, that limit my ability to use my body freely. It's the same way with your spirit. It's sitting there in a constipated state, not able to move. And so clearing out that debris will eventually give you the freedom. So there are going to be little spots, and then they're going to tie together and make longer periods of it until you get some pretty substantial periods of being clear. And that's the promise. That's the hope. So again, hope, what is hope? It's not wishful thinking. I don't know. But I know that any true hope is going to be grounded at the level that Hansa was talking about, of that cellular letting go, opening things up for the energy to flow. So my Omi is telling me it's time for us to join our voices together and sing our yap in the universe.
Okay.
I think it was Walt Whitman who said something about the yap.
A yap.
Yeah,
Okay.
I like the word.
I'll look back on that. Unmute your devices if you like. Deep breath in.
Wow. Yep.
Thanks.
Have a great week,
Love
everyone.
y'all. See you next week.
Yeah. Take care.
Good. Love you guys.
Love
Love you
you.
too, dear.